the blue sheets, we'll reference that. We also do have a couple of packages that we're going to offer the Senate. We worked on those last night. So the first package would be the unresolved items. If we could have those passed out. Would be in regards to items 2 on 2025, 1 on 2026 and 2027. And that would be in package A, which is in regards to education. So I'll reference the packages when we come to those items on the blue sheets. Let's see. So the next item that we have would be bids. And you just had the Senate position, correct? We're going to hold on the House modified of $2 million. The ERP modernization, and this is something that we probably will have in a package, and I would assume that you might have one in regards to ARPA interest. But this is still in regards to the ERP modernization. So we had $26 million coming from the ARPA interest fund for the new cloud-based enterprise resource planning system. So House item would be MRO under Department of Commerce. We're still going to maintain the House. Then when we get down to the Department of Commerce, in regards to all the items that is referenced into EDIF, that is in the second package. That is package B. So all items with any reference to EDIF is in that package. So that would take care of pages 3 and 4. Also items 30 and 31 on page 5. Secretary of State, Regulation Modernization. And I might have the Vice Chair explain this. This is her amendment when we had this in committee, but there's enough funding in the Technology Communication Fee Fund instead of using ARPA interest. Did you want to explain that? Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's a little bit over $5 million in this fund, and the funds are used and can be expended for technology and improvements, and I think this is a great use of the fund. We did talk with our revisors and to make sure that it was an appropriate use of the funds. It is, and it can be. Originally, we were told we could not use this fund, but then it was changed, and they backed off from that position and said, well, you can, but we would rather you not. We'd like to reduce our, own fees at some point. And so I think we should maintain this position.
So obviously that stays as a House position. On page 6, item number 5, that's still House. Actually, we're working with revisers on language on that. The CMHC grants, item number 2 under KDADS. That's still House, as is number 5. We're still maintaining the 320 slots because that is the capacity. I think that is more than enough. I actually have concerns that they couldn't even handle the 320. So we're maintaining the House position on that. On page 7, for the adolescent SUD. Oh, on the brain injury, we accept. I have that marked out. Yeah, House modified. That was your offer of 25, and so we accept that offer. Hence the reason why you should accept number 5. Okay, now on page 7, adolescent SUD rate. We took your Senate position. Lottery vending machine transfer. We were taking the Senate position on item number 12. Department of Labor. We maintain the House position because I believe last night the President had indicated you have language. Okay. All right, so we'll have that the next meeting. So House position on that. Sheltered Workshop Transition Grant, that's EDIF, so that's in the package B. On page 9 for fiscal year 2026, item number 1, hospital outpatient rates. We're maintaining the House position. On item number 4, for tuberculosis control and prevention, and you had wanted to add other diseases for $250,000, we accept the Senate modified. Number 5, for healthcare upskilling training program, House. Then on page 10, Board of Regents, we are maintaining the House position from items 1 through 6. And what we were contemplating, so any type of item that was funded by EDIF, in the governor's budget, she had that moved to SGF. And so we would need to come with a package outlining that for the Board of Regents.
Is that another package then? Other than-
Possibly, yeah. So later on. Question was, is that another package? Item number 11, so fiscal year 2026, items 1 through 7, we maintain the House position. On item number 8, we're going to have a Senate modified where we would fund it out of Senate Bill 18 from last year, aside from the $13.2 million from the Apex funds. So it would be the difference of that. So it'd be 19.5 funded by the bill that was passed last year. Regional growth. We had talked last night about a Senate modified. I'm going to change that, if it's all right with the conferees, to a House, because in conversations afterwards, there may be a different idea in regards to that. So that's going to be House. Student financial aid, House. The item number 11 is, that'd be, again, with that EDIF that was funded for the Board of Regents. Or is that in the package? It's in the package, sorry. That is package B, yes. As is item number 12. 14 and 15 is House. 17 is Senate. And then when we get to the Department of Education, that is all in package A, items 1 through 4, and then also 5 and 6 on page 13. For fiscal year 2026, items 2 is in the package. What? Package A, yes. And just to clarify with Dylan, all 3 of those items are in the package? Yes. Yes, okay, so all 3 of items 2, 3, and 4 are in the package. As are the items on page 14, 10 through 15 is in package A. And then on page 15, so is item number 1 for fiscal year 2027. For the 2 items noted as item number 1 for Emporia State University and Fort Hays State University House, because that is the needs-based aids scholarship. In Historical Society for 25 and 26, both of those items are House for the Quindaro Ruins Task Force. And the reason why we set up a task force is we had a hearing, as I believe you did too, in regards to the Quindaro archaeological ruins. We had found, I don't know what you found out when you had your hearing, but what we found out when we had ours is there's so many partners into this project. It's been going on for 50 years and nobody can come to a consensus. And I mean, really the intent was to work the bill, but after we had the hearing, it's unworkable, to be quite honest. And so that's why we created this task force, to try to come to some consensus in regards to Quindaro. I mean, we have partners that are not only local, state, federal. I mean, I believe when you had a hearing, you probably heard the same thing. It's a wide gamut. And so that's why the task force was inserted in the budget. On K-State, again, that's the need state-based aid. For K-State University, item number 1, that is in package B. And then items 2 through 6 on page 16 is still maintaining the House, as is in regards to item number 7 on page 17 for KSU 105 House. Bonding authority for the diagnostic lab, House, same with 2027. Pittsburgh, again, there's the needs-based aid, so that is House. And just to clarify, on items number 1 and 2 on page 18, we had a little confusion last time we were with this. What was your offer? Was Senate on item or we had House? Page 18, item number 1 for the State Library, and then item number 1 for the University of Kansas.
We had Senate,
Senate was,
Libraries except for the Senate that you offered first round.
Okay. We may have to come back to that. And you showing the same on item number 1 for geological survey?
no, we had Senate.
Okay, so we're maintaining the House position on that. For student financial aid, again, needs-based aid, House. Same with the Kansas Medical Center, University of Kansas Medical Center. The only item that I'm showing on page 19, or is there more items that? Oh, Wichita State University, items 2 and 3, House. Now to page 19. Okay, so on the Department of Corrections, we had a discussion with this last night. We're having a House modified where out of the 536,000, there is 100 and Dylan, correct me if I have this correct, 172,000 that is committed. So we could reappropriate and lapse the remaining amount. So that's the House modified. Do what? All right. 172 and some change. Yes. On page 20, the Highway Patrol is House, as is item number 2 for fiscal year 2026. The Troop C headquarters, House. And on page 21, with the KBI headquarters, we're going to maintain our House modified with the same language that we provided yesterday. Department of Agriculture, item number 1, House. And 3, 4, and 5 is House. And I'm just going to preface that we probably need to have something in regards to a water package later on. Number 6 on page 22 is in package B. Item number 7, House. Department of Wildlife and Parks, items 1, 2, and 3 are in package B. Cheney Lake Marina, House. Then we come down to Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Again, here's some water issues, so I'll be in a package. So the first item is House, and then on page 23.
Was your House on the bottom of 22?
Yes, House. We're going to get with our water committee and then try to draft a package together later on when it's our offer again. Then on page 23, House again. Then the Kansas Water Office, items 1 and 2, House. Again, that'll be when we address water. As is items 3, 4, and 5 on page 24, and then item number 6 is in package B because that is EDIF.
All of them are B?
No. 3, 4, and 5 are just House, and then 6 is with package B with EDIF. Return office mandate, we're going to have that as House because like I think we talked about last night, you do have a Senate bill, 236. And then on the only item on page 25, the state employee pay, you had a House modified last night. I think there was a change in the dollar amount. We'd accept your position on the House modified. And that is, I believe, all the open items left on the blue sheets. The only other thing that I would mention, actually, I'll do that in our next round. I'll discuss that with the conferees on the House. And we need to get language from the revisor's office as well, so we'll have that introduced later. But that's our offer with the two packages.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we'll have the vice chair explain some items in regards to package A for the education package.
Okay, a couple things on the education package. First of all, relating to the safe and secure, we realized that those monies have been appropriated this year for safe and secure, and so we did maintain the addition of the 5 million SGF. But for the other out years, those items it's for school safety for all public schools only, every single one, for that software, for that subscription. It's intended for those 3 years. That's it. If schools want to continue with the subscription, they can do that themselves. And so we did take it out of the increase that the schools will be receiving, CPIU, and then the language would allow the Kansas Department of Education to appropriately distribute the $5 million across the 286 school districts based on making sure those schools are safe and secure. Relating to the item that you had added for previous safe and secure monies, I think it was 3.5 million. For that, we did not include that in our offer to you. And basically, if you recall last year, when we had $5 million for safe and secure, we had proviso language that stipulated how that money was used. The governor deleted all of our requirements for how those dollars were used. After that time, I requested an opinion from the Attorney General. The Attorney General looked at case law across the U.S., Kansas, and said that that would be unlawful to maintain the money and also delete the language that says how you spend the money. So therefore, I don't think it would behoove us to add language in that could just be deleted again, and then the money is maintained and used in a manner that we didn't necessarily specify. The other point on that is that we are trying very hard to stay within the increases that we are giving schools. So we increase the base by the CPIU average, but that also causes an increase in the local option budget, which we equalize. So it's not just one pot of money that's increased, it's multiple pots of money, so we are committed to that. So that being said, one of the requests that is also included, and our revisor can explain more about this, I don't have the final language, but I believe they have it or are working on it, and that is above Gannon funding. So everything from here forward, we are going to designate as above Gannon funding. So if we're giving something to the mentor teacher program, or if we're giving it to K, any item that is not in the finance formula, and there are a lot, it's more than 130 million. We need to identify it, needs to be on our consensus revenue, so we can have a total on consensus revenue that says, okay, here are the dollars that may not be in KSD's budget or may be embedded in KSD's budget, but is above Gannon funding. And those will now be identified. We'll be tracking those, getting credit for those. And so those are some of the items. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Senator Petty.
Thank you. So back to the safe and secure school funding, I'm just trying to make sure I understand this. So on the fourth item on the first page with safe and secure schools. So the 5 million for 25 is in your package. Is that correct? With this, and that was school grants that have already gone out to schools. There was some language, some comments that were just made, but I'm trying to clarify. This is the same amount of money, the same program that's been in place with the Department of Education. So that money's already expended to the schools.
Yes,
not talking about any
actually, the
impact.
House position was to maintain all of the 2025 funding. Those monies have been budgeted, and some have been appropriated. Some are, maybe, they might be unencumbered, but they have been approved, so we didn't touch those. In fact, we actually did increase it, and that was what was the original offer yesterday of 5 million for the firearm detection. So they got a bonus on top of what they already spent.
Follow up. So actually, the Safe and Secure Firearm Detection Program is not in Department of Education. It's in the Office of the Attorney General. So it's in a different location, has much different criteria attached to it, and doesn't just go to public schools. It goes to public, private, or other entities. So those three items are much different than the fourth item about safe and secure schools. I'll just follow up also with the comments concerning Gannon. Under the Gannon ruling, the items teachers' excellence and mentor teaching and professional development were part of Gannon. They were not excluded from Gannon. And also, prior to Gannon, we were already doing within the schools. Of course, there was special education, which was another item, but those items cannot be separated from the Gannon ruling.
Okay, in terms of your question about the original language for safe and secure, we have amended that, and they're still working on finalizing that language for you. But that would only allow it, since we're going to be using it from the CPIU, we're only allowing it for public schools. If we want to expand it someday, or that's a possibility, but we're committed to our public schools for 3 years. After that, they can carry on subscriptions with their money. We're not doing any other public facilities. For example, a library has their own authority locally to increase mills for that kind of thing, so we're not doing that. Private schools could opt to do it on their own. They can still do that, but we're not expending it for that. And in terms of Gannon, special education was mentioned in Gannon. We were required to do the 44, or it was settled or agreed upon that we would do 44.5 million, and then we would do 7.5 for 4 years, and we've done that. And so that part is in it. If there are other items that were explicitly mentioned that are outside the formula, then they will catch that and it won't be included.
Senator Petty.
I guess I'll wait to see what the, or we'll wait to see what the language actually looks like with the safe and secure firearm detection program, which is totally different from Safe and Secure's current school grants funding. So I'll wait to see what that language looks like.
Let me get a clarification.
Representative Ballard.
I'm just trying to think of our conversation last night, the clarification. The money would be transferred to the Attorney General's office. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So then they will decide how that money is distributed among the 286 school districts. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then after the 3 years, one of the things we talked about is then they can decide if they want to continue, right? But I think the issue is we won't start it in 25, but in 26.
We are going to maintain in 25. So everything that was in the previous education bill from last year would be funded in 25. In 26, that's where the changes are coming from.
Okay.
And we're moving it to the Attorney General office.
And if I understand Vice Chair correct, what she's really looking for is all the money that's spent above the per pupil cost she's trying to track?
No, what I'm trying to track are all those dollars that are outside the finance formula, all those dollars that were not part of the settlement agreement under Gannon. I think it's important for us to understand that not only did we meet our constitutional obligations, but we exceeded our constitutional obligations. And we need to track those anything above constitutional obligation. So I think that is what I'm really trying to do. It's the most transparent method to show the legislature's above and beyond commitment. And so that's the reason for the language.
And I think that's where the controversy really is are we really spending that much money outside of that finance formula? And I think that language that we come up with will maybe clarify, are we really going beyond, or are we just meeting what we're supposed to in statute?
Okay, and then I would just also remind all of our listeners that, for example, the Safe and Secure started in 2017, 2 years prior to Gannon being reached, but it had nothing to do with improving scores, test scores. So remember when Gannon started, we were at about a 25% of our students were below grade level in reading and math. Now we're over 33%. So everything that we have added has not increased outcomes. Our outcomes are continuing to be below where we need them to be. So I wish we could have more accountability on that side, but we don't. So I think it is very important to track these fundings. They're funding that is above, and I don't think anything outside that formula is considered funding above funding unless it was explicitly mentioned in the Gannon.
Senator Petty.
Well, I think these comments raise the conversation of Gannon, and I'm going to say that we have a total disagreement here on what was included in Gannon, because Gannon did include items other than just the per pupil expenditure. So we can have that conversation, and I'd be more than happy for us to do that. But when we look at mentor teaching, we look at teacher excellence, those were included as part of Gannon. Those are, and professional development, those are not separate, and those are actually spoken to in the information that came from Gannon. So, and then we already, prior to that, had commitment within our schools for when the CTBI transportation that came, Senate Bill 155. So we're now, I think it's an important conversation to have, but there's a difference of opinion here as to what was included in Gannon, so we can go into that Gannon ruling.
Well, I would say just evaluate the package, and with the CT transportation, that's actually included in the package as being funded. Senator Billinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Can the Vice Chair tell me on the CPIU, what is the amount of money?
I'd have to pull the papers back up, but I believe it's ranged anywhere from 230 million to 180 million increase per year just for the base aid. I don't think that and weightings, I don't think that includes supplemental, but we could look for Dylon for that. It was, I think, 180 million.
What kind of increase would that be to the LOB? Do you know?
33% of that.
Any further questions? All right. All right, Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I did want to make a comment about the history. We did accept the history, but I just want to note that curriculum is something that we do fully fund. local districts have the ability to do that. We got in a bind about 3 or 4 years ago where we did a math curriculum that we thought would be fantastic and would help raise math scores. And unfortunately, it took a long time to get the RFP, it took a long time to get out the door, and they still have monies left over, and I don't see any improvement in math scores. So just a note, I reluctantly, from my standpoint, obviously accept because that's something you all want to do, but it's reluctant because I don't think that we should be adding additional monies. But since it was existing resources, then hope it's a great program, and I hope to see what program it is, and I hope it doesn't take 9 months to get one.
Senator Petty.
Well, that Representative's point is well made because it will take 9 months to get one. The earliest that could come up would be by January, and that piece in the budget proposal here talks about having a report to the legislature, which there won't be anything to report because the RFP will have to go out. That was a program that was never requested or never had a hearing.
And again, I would say evaluate the package. Is there anything else? Now you go on the floor at 10, the same as we.
Action over caucus right now, so probably
We'll just have to see. We've got some concurs to vote on, and so I'll just text you and kind of let you know where we're at with our proposal, and then we'll announce a time on the floor.
That sounds good. And then when we communicate, I can make the same announcement on the House floor. So, all right. Thank you.